you guys a story that's found in the Bible. It's a story of a great miracle that shows the great power of God. And it's an incredible story, and actually it's one of my favorites found in the Bible. But it's more than just a story. A story can be any type of fiction. It can be Harry Potter, it can be Spider-Man, it can be Star Wars, it can be anything. But there's something that's really important that you need to know, and that the Bible is more than just a bunch of fake stories. The Bible is history, real moments that happened thousands of years ago. And everything in this Bible, no matter how unbelievable, is 100% true. And today I'm going to cover the great historic event of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. And from this event in history, we can learn that after we become Christians, we should follow God. So at this point in time, Israel had stopped following God, and instead the people worshiped false idols. And two of these idols were Baal and Asherah. So God sent a prophet, a man by the name of Elijah, and he was to confront these people worshiping the idols. And this is what it says in 1 Kings 18. That's where we're going to be today. If you have Bibles, turn to 1 Kings 18. Now, yours might sound a little bit different than mine, and that's okay. It's all the same meaning. So this is what it says in 1 Kings 18:19. Now, therefore, send together all Israel to meet at Mount Carmel, and the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah to eat at Jezebel's table. Elijah wanted all the prophets and the false gods to come together. Now, if we continue with 1 Kings 18, 20, and 21, it shows us why exactly Elijah wanted to speak to these people. It says in 1 Kings 18, 20, and 21, those two verses, So Ahab sent to all the people of Israel and gathered the prophets together at Mount Carmel. And Elijah came near to all the people and said, How long will you go limping between two different opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people did not answer him a word. So Elijah and the prophets of Baal are going to... Excuse me. So Elijah realized that the people of Israel were trying to follow God and false idols at the same time. And he realized that this was an issue. And the Israelites knew this was an issue as well because they were silent. They had no response to what Elijah was telling them. That is the first lesson today, that God and the other gods of the world cannot mix. We can choose to follow one the other. It's like oil and water. So this is a container filled with oil and water. Now, there's times in our lives when we try and mix God and the world together. And this is what happens. It looks like it's all coming together. And it may seem that it's all mixed together, but if we watch carefully and we watch slowly, we'll find out that God and the world cannot mix together, just like oil and water cannot mix together. Eventually they'll become separated. And lots of people, us included, can try and put God and the world together. But in the end, as you can start seeing here, the oil and the water will be separated, just like God's plan and the world's plan is. So, choosing to become a Christian means fully following God, not just partially following God. And He must be our number one priority above family, above friends, above anything. So Elijah says here in 1 Kings 18 that the people must choose either God or false idols. And he has a plan to prove that they, the prophets of Baal, and like us, should follow God. So let's continue with the passage. 1 Kings 18, verses 22 to 25, shows us his plan. It says, And Elijah said to the people, even I only, am left a prophet to the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let 2 bulls be given to us, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, and cut it into pieces, and lay it on the wood, but put no fire to it. And I will prepare the other bull, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire to it. And you call upon the name of your God, and I will call upon the name of the Lord, the God who answers by fire. He is God. And all the people answered, It is well spoken. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, Choose yourselves 1 bull, and prepare it first, for you are many, and call upon the name of your God, but put no fire to it. So the prophets of Baal go first. And this plan that Elijah has is that they're going to prepare a sacrifice to their God. And whichever sacrifice is lit on fire will be, through prayer, a declaration of that God being the true God. Now, this was a contest of faith. No one was going to physically touch the fire or sacrifice and start the flame. It would be only through the truth that what would happen. And so Elijah lets the prophets of Baal go first. He's going to save the best for last. And this is what the prophets of Baal do. It's quite remarkable. 1 Kings 18, 26 through 29. And they took the bowl that was given to them, and they prepared it and called upon the name of the Baal from morning until night, saying, "O Baal, answer us." But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they limped around the altar they had made. And at noon Elijah mocked them, saying, "Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is musing, or he is relieving himself, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he is asleep and must be awakened." And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their custom with swords and lances until blood gushed out of them. And as midday passed, they raved on until the time of the offering of the oblation. But there was no voice, no one answered, no one paid attention. And so they prepared this altar, the prophets of Baal, to prepare this sacrifice for Baal. But for hours they prayed and cried out to Baal, but there was no help because the fire was not lit. And so nothing happened, and Elijah even began to mock them. They made fun of them, saying that maybe Baal was taking a number 2 on the toilet, or maybe he was just asleep. Now, of course, a god would not be going to the bathroom or falling asleep, and the prophets knew this. So the prophets of Baal had a blind faith. They continued to call to Baal, and even when it was obvious that no one was going to answer, they went as far as cutting themselves, causing themselves to bleed, and still hoping that maybe Baal would smell the blood or something to answer, but nothing happened. There was no response. And that is the second lesson for us today. After we become Christians, we should follow God because the God's will fail us. There are many things that we can worship today, and I'm not just talking about statues of people, although that is a very real thing. There's many people around the world that worship these idols, these statues of people, such as Buddha. But we can also worship other things as well. We worship whatever is our priority in life, whatever is number one in our life. And this could be video games, or money, or sports, or celebrities. It could be a number of things. But whatever comes first in your life is what you worship. Idols. And ultimately, they will fail you, just like Baal did to the people of Israel. You can be rich, or you can have a fantastic ability at certain sports, or whatever, but in the end, putting your trust in these things will not take you anywhere. So the prophets of Baal refused to see that God would not answer, and they were simply calling upon a false idol. It was Elijah's turn now, and the account of what happens when Elijah goes up is amazing. So flip over to 1 Kings 18, verses 30 through 35. And this is what it says. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come near to me." And all the people came near to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that had been thrown down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord said, "Come," saying, "Israel shall be your name." And the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench around the altar as great as would contain 2 seeds of seed. And he put the wood in order and cut the bowl in pieces and laid it on the wood. And he said, "Fill 4 jars of water and pour it on the burnt offering and on the wood." And he said, "Do it a second time." And they did it a second time. And he said, "Do it a third time." And he did it a third time. And the water ran around the altar and filled the trench with water. And at the time of the offering, the oblation, Elijah the prophet came near and said, "O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, and this people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back." Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering, and the wood and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and said, "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." Elijah, a single man against hundreds and hundreds of false prophets, prayed a single prayer. He just finished watching these people spend hours crying out to their God, to Baal, and there was no answer. And even though that was in front of him, he prayed a single prayer, and immediately his prayer was answered. This entire sacrifice that Elijah had prepared was burned from a flame that came from above. The meat and the wood, the dust, the stones even, was all burned. And it even says that the water was evaporated. Nothing was left. Everything was consumed. So God answers Elijah's single prayer in seconds, while the false god Baal did not get answered did not answer after hundreds of people prayed for hours. And after this great spectacle, everyone quite quickly realized that God was the real and one true God. This is our final lesson today. After we become Christians, we should follow God because we can trust our God no matter what. Whenever we are, God is there. We can pray to Him in times of need and whenever it is difficult in our life. And no matter how tough of a time we are having, and no matter what situation we are in, God will be victorious. Even if you are the only person around that is following God, He will still bring victory. And it seems obvious that we should follow God, but we have that choice, that single choice, that we can either worship God or we can worship false idols. You can decide to choose to worship the gods of this world, but in doing so, you no longer have faith in God. And if we decide not to follow God, we will suffer great consequences. As shown in this final tragic verse that is found in 1 Kings 18, verse 40. And it says the following. And Elijah said to them, "Seize the prophets of Baal." But not one of them escaped. And they seized them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook of Kishon and slaughtered them there. The prophets of Baal, they were leading the people of Israel away from God. And Baal was proved to be a false god, and so after this contest, the prophets of Baal were killed. And God is like a parent. He loves us so much, but as His children, we make mistakes, and He punishes us to keep us from repeating our actions. He can punish us for short term, as He does many times, but there are also long-term effects that can happen. If we choose to turn away from God, if we decide to put other things first in our lives, then we will face eternal punishment in hell. We all should follow God. He is always victorious and the only one that we can really trust. But if we decide to choose to worship false idols, the gods of this world, then we will have to face punishment. This is the historical event of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. The people of Israel were following false idols, and Elijah was a prophet sent by God to bring Israel back to Him. And as a contest was held to declare the one true God, God and the gods of the world do not mix. We must choose one or the other, for we can only worship one single thing. And like the prophets of Baal, crying out to Baal for hours on end. For if we choose the gods of this world, then we will fall on the ground in defeat, because they will always fail us. However, we can trust in God always. In our times of need, no matter how bad it seems, God will be there, ready to send a blazing fire from the sky to help us in times of need. So I want to leave you with one final question, something I want you guys to think about. As a Christian, are you going to follow God? Let's pray. Dear God, thank you.